Hi, I'm Peggy Kelly of Mighty Santa Paula Times, and this is Good Morning Santa Paula. Today is Thursday, June 16th. I got that right for a change. And our guest today is City Manager Dan Singer, who's here today just following the City Council meeting. So how wonderful is that? But anyway, Dan, good morning. Great to see you as always.
Good morning.
Good morning. So how late did the council go last night?
It was a pretty efficient meeting, so we
Yeah, all day thing practically, So
we wrapped up about 9:30, so not too bad.
Oh, that's not too bad. Now, do you want to tell us though about your first meeting, your cultural arts workshop?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't written that much about it, so I'm curious also.
Yeah, the council had an opportunity to hear from a consultant we brought on board, a local gal that has a lot of experience in the arts and is really helping us to shape the kind of future collaboration of how we work together to further being a community that celebrates its history, its art, its culture, its theater, how it expresses itself, really with an eye towards art, because I think generally government probably isn't the best representative of that. We just make it more complicated. But rather to
civic center, that's one example of the government going into art.
Yes.
The infamous curtain, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, so I think our interest and generally the sentiments that were shared by the council yesterday were, how do we find ourselves in a support position? How can we be the ones to help nurture the dialogue and networking of artists and art agencies and theater and music and all of that in our community? So it was the start of that conversation, but it was, I think, really fascinating discussion and a healthy one. And there was quite a few people there, good 20 people.
Wonderful.
Representing the various facets of our town.
So in other words, you had probably a representative from the museums, a representative perhaps from like De Caloris,
yes,
a representative from the mural group,
yes,
and all of those different things. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So more to come on that. I think we got some general direction. We're gonna have to now refine our recommendations and also see what the council's tolerance would be to not just be in a support role, but maybe even to help fund some seed money to get some type of arts council established here in town, so that there's more collaboration amongst our groups.
Now I'm curious, since the city might be involved not only as a guiding light, as it were, because the council wants to push this, but
the consultant in her report talked a little bit about what some of those look like, either in neighboring cities in this county. She brought up 5 other cities in Ventura County that have taken different approaches. And of course, there's other examples from around the state and country.
Yeah, well, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Some place has cultural arts already in Santa Paula. It's just a matter of, building on what we already have, which is an abundance of riches. It probably just needs a little more organization and working together. So.
Well, that's right. I think the working together is the part that offers the greatest benefit, right? Because you have all these independent actors, if you will, that are doing the good work that their mission is designed for. But how great would it be if they're not always competing for events, competing for money, competing for grants, philanthropy, attention, and instead are really kind of working to say, hey, Santa Paula should be on the map, right? We should be marketing ourselves collectively. We should be doing things in a coordinated manner. We should be sharing resources, supporting one another. So I think there's great potential. And, when I got here, I saw that this was a missing piece. And like the Chamber of Commerce that helps marry, the community and government with businesses, we didn't have that connection with all of these great entities. So I'm pleased to see this get underway.
Oh, wonderful. Very happy to hear that. And something that is related in a very vague way, the P-BID. which is the property-based
Improvement district.
improvement district. There
Yep.
you go. And I know that was on the agenda at the council meeting, the regular meeting last night. So where are we with the PBID?
Yeah, so last night represented the PBID board's request to renew the first. So the first effort was for 3 years, and we're 2.5 years into that. And it basically went to all the property owners, even expanded the territory slightly, and gave them a chance to vote on whether or not to continue this improvement district for another 5 years. At the same funding level, so actually the assessment, because this is basically property owners assessing themselves a property tax to be used for the marketing and beautification and improvements and safety of the downtown. And so by expanding the territory slightly, but not expanding the budget, the assessment's actually going to go down 15%. So that'll be nice. And the council basically held a public hearing, opened the votes yesterday, and the expansion, continuation of the PBID is now going to occur with a 70% support level by the property owners, 30% that said they didn't want it, but so it will move forward effective at the end of this calendar year.
Wonderful. I know that it's showing what the PBID has done so far is showing. And we were talking earlier too about how they do have an annual report.
They're an independent entity, so they have to, take care of and audit their own books. We just turn the money over to them. So yes, they report that to all of the members. There's about 55 parcels within the downtown business improvement district. And there's a lot of flexibility with how they use it, but of course it's up to their elected board to determine what those priorities are. But to your point, Peggy, they made some great strides really over the last 6 to 8 months. The banner program that you see in downtown, the cleaning up of some of the trees and the tree grates, the work with the city on beautification has all been as a result of the PBID. And they also met yesterday separately and approved monies going to a facade improvement program. They're going to be asking the city to help match that along with property owners to essentially improve their own properties. So that would be a nice improvement too.
Oh, absolutely. They did that in the 2000s. They had, and I'm sure you're aware of that, they had a program that was very successful. It was only several buildings, that was it at that point in time. But the thing that was so fascinating about it is how they were able to use so much styrofoam. They have this architectural styrofoam now that just absolutely cuts all sorts of costs. And it looked quite nice.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do with a few dollars and a lot of imagination and coordination. So I'm delighted to hear that.
Yeah.
Also, do you have an update too, speaking of banners, on the military banner program?
Yes, those will be put up later this month, ahead of July 4th. We only so far have about a dozen applicants. We have room for a good bit more than that. I'm not sure the total capacity, but it's closer to like 40. Okay. And so we'll start with the first dozen, and probably by giving that exposure, we'll get more interest.
Absolutely.
So looking forward to that. That'll also beautify part of our town and celebrate the men and women who serve our country.
Now, are they going to be concentrated more or less around the Veterans Park area, or are they?
Correct.
Okay, I think that's great. Yeah.
So we'll start, because we only have a dozen. We'll start along 10th Street on that side of Veterans Park. So that would be kind of adjacent to the skate park and the restrooms there. And that's a primary corridor, right? The highway.
Absolutely.
And then from there, we'll, as the interest grows, we'll expand over to the Mill Street side of the park.
And because and then of course right in the middle you have those wonderful memorials. Yeah. Memorials and wonderful setup. I can see it in my mind's eye. It's very nice. Yes. Now, also, let's move on. Let's ease on down the road by talking
Yeah.
about our streets and everything. So,
Yeah, council had an opportunity to authorize the award of contract to Toro Engineering, which happens to be a local pavement company, for our Harvard Boulevard project. This is a now $18 million project that will be able to begin, if not by the end of summer, certainly by soon after. And it's a long-term project because the first parts of it, and we've talked on this show quite a bit about Harvard. The first part is redoing our sewer and our upgrading our water facilities. Some of those lines are as much as 100 years old. Expecting them to last another 100 years is unrealistic. So we're going to tear up the streets, go and fix the infrastructure underneath, and have it last for another 100 years.
absolutely.
After which, of course, we'll repave and restripe the boulevard. I think it's just going to look great, but we're going to have to put up with a little bit of nuisance in the meantime.
Uh-huh.
And the whole project is probably around 17 to 18 months, barring any significant delays. So,
And that'll be from Peck to,
all the way to essentially to 10th Street, although there is some improved pavement that goes, I think, to 8th.
okay.
So, yeah, it's almost 2 miles long,
Wow.
and of course quite wide. There'll be other enhancements, some crosswalk enhancements in front of Isabel School, and then down towards the Vaughn's Shopping Plaza. There'll be bike lanes and other improvements, so it's going to really look great, and we'll look forward to the ribbon cutting.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, everybody's happy to hear about that.
I think so.
And you
Even
also,
with the nuisance, right?
even with the nuisance, so
Yeah.
stop the nuisance and then love the streets. So, it's a win-win. Now, you also said you have some more funds for city streets, for residential areas and different places like that.
Yeah, we do, and that work's going to start at the end of June and really go through July. J&H Construction will be doing maintenance road overlays on a number of streets in town, significant east-west corridors, including Santa Barbara Street, Santa Paula Street, and the much loved Virginia Terrace. That would be the segment next to Garden Market there out to the highway from McKevitt School. So that work will start in earnest probably after July 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And start prepping and then be completed by the end of July. Once they get started, that work goes fairly quickly, usually only two to 3 days per segment. For the longer stretches, like Santa Paula Street, probably weeks worth, but they'll move it along.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, I'm sure people are going to be happy to see that also.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of activities coming up too. We've got a lot of fun things going on. But before we talk about the 4th of July, let's talk about the fact that fireworks are strictly illegal in Santa Paula, period.
Yes, they are. And a little over a year ago, the council adopted stricter ordinances that actually now hold property owners responsible for illegal fireworks. So it's not enough to just, write a citation to a kid that's out there in the front yard lighting off, illegal fireworks. We now have the tool of being able to hold the property owner of that property responsible, even if they didn't know their kid was out front. So it's a great tool. We used it last year, and I think when you look at last 4th of July versus the year before, it was much better, and we're hoping for that same progress going into this holiday. And just be mindful of the reasons, which is really the safety of our town and our neighborhoods and our homes and our fingers.
Yeah, and our animals and our veterans.
And our animals, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, and they bring in some, and of course, it's illegal to even be in possession of fireworks in Santa Paula.
Correct.
We don't even have to set them off, and we can be in big trouble. And And of course, they import them from Mexico and Nevada and different places. And, and even Safe and Sane, which are the ones that the state of California fire marshal, you still can't have those, possession of those in Santa Paula. So
Right.
it's great. But the good news is we're going to have fireworks spectacular with the whole community.
Yes, on July 4th, which will originate from Harding Park. Of course, there's, it's not a very big valley, so there's plenty of vantage points to take in the festivities. But we encourage people to come out to Harding Park on the evening of the 4th and, picnic, enjoy the time with your family, throw down a blanket or some chairs, and have front row seats. The firework display will be about 20 minutes long. The costs went up significantly, but the Rotary Club, who pays for the display, didn't want to compromise the show by cutting it down too much. Mm-hmm. So they've been out pounding the pavement, raising money. Mm-hmm. I think they're still about $5,000 short. Yes. But there's still a few weeks, so come on in with your donations.
Absolutely, yes. And I guess actually the Rotary Club acts as the fiscal agent. Yes. For the fireworks committee. So, but
that's correct.
They do a lot of work for it too, and they hit
the city pays for the rest.
Yes, absolutely, and it's the city's the co-sponsor, and it's just a great event. And as you mentioned, you can see it from most places in the city. Actually, I mean, people have gatherings and barbecues and all sorts of things waiting for it, and it's always a great show.
Yeah.
And of course, that same weekend's going to start out with cruise night.
Yeah, that's right. Our July cruise night, the last couple of months have been highly successful. And then we, of course, have farmers markets on Friday nights too. So it's really a great evening. So that'll be July 1st. And I'm sure there'll be lots of festivities over the holiday weekend and then leading up to the 4th itself. So.
And then, of course, we'll have the first Sunday at the airport too. So, I mean, and probably the museums are probably going to do something patriotic. They usually get together and do a lot of fun things. So, yeah, it could be a great weekend in Santa Paula. Okay, now, is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to bring up? Or?
I think so.
Yes, absolutely.
Wish everyone a healthy and safe summer.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dan. Always nice to get the city manager on. People like to hear what you have to say and update things. And everybody out there, please keep in mind that they're projecting we're going to be having heat waves. I won't say heat wave, but heat waves as the summer goes on. Be sure that you know who your elderly neighbors are. Don't let your dogs and cats out if you can at all possible. If it's too hot for your feet, watch your kids. Nobody left in the car. All those things you have to keep in mind. But most of all, keep in mind that we live in Santa Paula, the most beautiful city in the world. And once again, I'm Peggy Kelly, and this is Dan Singer, the city manager of Santa Paula. And everybody have a wonderful and safe weekend. Thank you so much. Oh, and by the way, you can see this on cable channel 10 and also on KATD. Here we go. I knew wouldn't get through this without one little blurb or KADYTV.com. Sorry about that. A bit late night. And also, you can watch it on YouTube. And if you do watch it on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe. And it helps to bring more broadcasting into the studio. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Dan, thank you again. Bye-bye.